Hello everybody, so welcome back again in Parkinson's classroom. So today our topic is pulmonary dysfunction due to cardiopulmonary bypass. So pulmonary dysfunction after cardiopulmonary bypass is a very common scenario that we can observe, and it can range from microscopic atelectasis which have no clinical consequences to severe ARDS, and there are many reasons, mainly two factors which are contributing to injury to lung is the CVD itself and the general anesthesia. So now we will see the main reasons, main etiology of lung injury during CVD. First, the reasons of atelectasis or microscopic atelectasis. Now, atelectasis means collapse of microscopic airways, or atelectasis in simple term means collapse. So let's see the reasons. First and the foremost reason is general anesthesia with neuromuscular blockade, which relaxes diaphragm and causes perfusion and ventilation mismatch, that is PQ mismatch, and which leads to atelectasis. Next, the group of drugs which are used is narcotics, which causes decreased central respiratory drive, that is the drive which controls the respiration and inspiration and expiration, that is the respiration from our brain, the mechanism of controlling inspiration and respiration by our brain. Narcotics decrease that central respiratory drive, and again non-perfused collapsed lung during CVD. So we all know during cardiopulmonary bypass lungs are not perfused and they perform any function. So non-perfused and they remains as collapsed. This thing also causes atelectasis in lungs. Next is increased lung water content. So it may be either cardiogenic pulmonary edema or non-cardiogenic interstitial edema. Now, cardiogenic pulmonary edema is caused by mainly hemodilution and decreased oncotic pressure, and also the fluid overload which may occur during the cardiopulmonary bypass. The main two factors are hemodilution, and due to hemodilution the decreased oncotic pressure, and the non-cardiogenic interstitial edema is due to SIRS, that is systemic inflammatory response syndrome. Next reason is surfactant depletion. Now, what is surfactant? The surfactant is a chemical that covers alveolar and microscopic airway, which lowers the surface tension to prevent the alveolar and small airway collapse. Now, general anesthesia reduce the function of this surfactant, and CVP as well as also reduce the function and also alters its composition. That is in non-perfused collapsed lung, surfactants are depleted, which can cause again collapse of airways. Next is pulmonary sequestration of neutrophils. So in hematological adverse event we have discussed it. We have already discussed it. Pulmonary sequestration of neutrophil. Again, the neutrophils are activated during CVD due to many reasons, mainly due to the artificial surface, and they get sequestrated in the lung and they causes release reaction, and they releases what now vasoconstrictive materials, that is vasoconstrictors, which causes localized intense vasoconstriction and causes membrane damage. Next is the surgical cause. Obviously, midline sternotomy, which is usually done in case of open heart surgery, and entrance of and harvestation of lima and lima graft, that is harvestation of intrathoracic artery which penetrates entering pleural cavity. Next is changes in PV arteries, pulmonary vascular resistance. Now, pulmonary vascular resistance preoperatively can be increased. Pulmonary vascular resistance can be already increased before the operation due to any congenital heart disease, that is CHD. In congenital cases, we have seen that pulmonary vascular resistance is already increased, and other cause, that is due to CPB, is during the CPB increased catecholamine and endothelic release. These are constitutive materials, so they increase the pulmonary vascular resistance. Next reason is pre-existing lung disease like COPD, which is very much common in cases of patients with history of chronic smoking. Next, oxygen free radicals. Oxygen free radicals, we all know they are generated in huge amounts during CPB, which causes injury. Pneumothorax and pneumothorax, which may also occur because during CPB, pleural cavity is entered for intrathoracic artery hallucination. Next is phrenic nerve injury. Phrenic nerve injury is the main cause of phrenic nerve injury is due to the longer exposure to the eye slash that we use for cardio protection. Too much long exposure of phrenic nerve to eye slash directly to the eyes causes phrenic nerve injury. This is the most common cause of phrenic nerve injury, and phrenic nerve supplies the diaphragm. So, if phrenic nerve is injured, it hampers the diaphragmatic function, and we all know that diaphragm is a very much important muscle for respiration. Next is the anatomical consideration and position, that is the anatomical position, the anatomical reason due to which left lung is more prone to injury than right lung. So what are the causes? The first cause is during surgery, heart rests on the immobile left lower lobe of the left lung. During surgery, we all know heart doesn't pump, that is bypassed by cardiopulmonary bypass, and the heart rests on the immobile left lower lobe. Now, blind bronchial suction preferentially drains the right bronchus or right main bronchus. That's blind suction. In case of blind suction, the catheter we use usually enters the right main bronchus and results in right bronchial drainage, but not the the left bronchial drainage is hampered, or left bronchial drainage is not done because what is the cause of this? The main cause of this is the angle. If this is the main bronchus, this is the left side and this is the right side. Here is the heart. These are two lungs. Then this angle, the right bronchus is more straighter, not straighter, but in produces lesser angle with the midline the lower angle with the midline with respect to the left bronchus. So when we use bronchial suction, what happens? In case of line bronchial suction, the catheter usually goes like that into the right main bronchus, because this angle, the angle between right main bronchus and the midline is lower than the left main bronchus. So usually the right bronchus is drained, but the left bronchus is not drained. So the collection in the left main bronchus is left. And next is traumatic mucosal pleating. Usually at the carina. Carina is the point where the bronchus is divided into right and left bronchus. This point is called carina. So when we are doing the suction, when we are entering the suction catheter, if by chance suction catheter is touching the mucosa of at the point of carina and we started the negative pressure, then what will happen? There will be traumatic mucosal pleating, that is injury of the mucosa membrane at carina. This is called traumatic mucosal pleating, which is mainly at carina. And next is Lima-Harvest mandates left pleural space entering, because among the all type of arterial graft, Lima is the most commonly harvested, or Lima is the most commonly used arterial graft, that is left internal membrane arterial graft. So Lima-Harvest mandates left pleural space entering. All these four reasons contribute to injury. 60 to 70% preponderance of left lung injury, especially left lower lobe of left lung. That is, these are the four causes why left lung is more prone to injury than the right lung. Next is the clinical features. So as I mentioned earlier, that it can range from microscopic atelectasis, which has not such clinical relevance, to severe ARDS. So if severe injury occurs, then the symptoms will be like ARDS. So if severe symptoms occur post CPB, it is referred to as pump lung, which is morphologically identical to the ARDS and with other inflammatory symptoms like sepsis. There also may be pulmonary edema. Bronchoalveolar lavage fluid will demonstrate increased interleukin 8 and neutrophil concentration and high protein concentration in the edema fluid. Next is prevention and management. Last is the prevention and management. So, first preventive measure is try to minimize the pump time. For extracorporeal circuit, for protect circuit can be used if possible. Minimize the length of the circuit. Use no filtration, that is cuff and mark, conventional alveolar filtration and mark for modified alveolar filtration. They usually decrease the load of inflammatory mediators. If possible, we can also use neutrophil inflation filter. Next is the mechanical ventilator setting. Again, it is very much important topic because mechanical ventilation, it keeps patient alive as well as it itself, just like cardiopulmonary bypass, mechanical ventilator also causes injury to our respiratory system, to the lungs. So settings of mechanical ventilator is also very much important after CPB. So usually the setting which we use is tidal volume at 8 to 10 ml per kg, respiratory rate at 8 to 10 per minute. If I do 100%, fast 100%, then gradually decrease it to 60%, maintaining the SpO2, that is patient oxygen saturation, greater or equal to 90%, 98%. Keep usually set at 5 cm of H2O. If patient is with COPD, that is patient have COPD previously, those groups are often benefited from lower respiratory rate and increased tidal volume settings. Next is proper suction whenever needed and nebulization, and next is the antibiotics to prevent the infection. Post extubation care, SpO2 monitoring and oxygen support, and if needed then non-invasive ventilator support. Next is spirometry and chest physiotherapy. Next, mobilization as early as possible, and antibiotics as per sputum culture. Now, if all those steps are taken, but then also we cannot extubate the patient, that is the inability of extubation of patient is not responding to optimal medical therapy, then we have to switch to lung protective ventilation. And in more severe cases, which is very much unlikely after CPB, which is very much unlikely due to only the open heart surgery, if not any other disease or other pre-existing disease is present, then we can switch to venovenous ECMO. That is another topic we will discuss it in ECMO session whenever we will discuss the ECMO. So this is all about the pulmonary dysfunction as an adverse effect of CPB and its management and prevention. তো তাহলে পুরোটা একবার যদি রিক্যাপ করা যায় তাহলে কি দাঁড়ালো না, পালমোনারি ডিসফাংশনের অনেক কারণ রয়েছে। সিপিবি কার্ডিওপালমোনারি বাইপাসের পর পালমোনারি ডিসফাংশন খুব কমন কেস, আর তার বিভিন্ন রকম কারণ রয়েছে। প্রথমত অ্যাটেলেক্টেসিস ইউজুয়ালি মাইনর অ্যাটেলেক্টেসিস, তার ক্লিনিক্যালি খুব বেশি রিলেভেন্ট নয়, but major atelectasis they are usually due to general anesthesia, narcotic drugs and non-perturbed collapsed lung. Next is তারপরে reason ছিল আমাদের pulmonary edema, maybe cardiogenic or non-cardiogenic. Cardiogenic মানে এখানে হচ্ছে due to CVP, that is the hemodilution and the reduction of oncotic pressure, and non-cardiogenic is due to the systemic inflammatory response syndrome. তারপর ছিল সারফেক্টেন্ট ডিপ্লেশন। তো সারফেক্টেন্ট হলো এমন একটা কেমিক্যাল যেটা আমাদের যে মাইক্রোস্কোপিক এয়ারওয়ে অর্থাৎ অ্যালভিওলাই আর স্মল এয়ারওয়ে সেখানকার কভারিং বানায়, তার সাথে কি করে না সারফেস টেনশনটাকে লোয়ার রাখে টু প্রিভেন্ট দ্য কোল্যাপস। তো জেনারেল অ্যানেস্থেসিয়া আর কার্ডিওপালমোনারি বাইপাস they both alter their function and composition. So again this can cause atelectasis. Next was pulmonary sequestration of neutrophils, এটা আমরা hematological adverse effect এ দেখে এসেছি। তারপর ছিল surgical cause, that is altered chest wall mechanism due to median sternotomy, midline sternotomy. তারপর ছিল increased pulmonary vascular resistance and decreased pulmonary blood flow. তার সাথে যদি পেশেন্টের কোনো প্রি এক্সিস্টিং লাং ডিজিজ থাকে লাইক সিওপিডি, যেটা ম্যাক্সিমাম কেসে দেখা যায় যে ক্রনিক স্মোকার যারা, মানে হয়তো পেশেন্টের অন পাম্প সিএবিজি হচ্ছে, সেই পেশেন্ট ক্রনিক স্মোকার ছিল, তার লাংসের অবস্থা খুবই খারাপ, সেই পেশেন্টের সিওপিডি আছে, তো পোস্ট অপারেটিভলি দেখা যায় তাদের ক্ষেত্রে লাং ইনজুরিটা অনেক বেশি হয়। তার সাথে ফ্রেনিক নার্ভ ইনজুরি খুব কমন কারণ হচ্ছে প্রলংড এক্সপোজার টু আইসল্যাশ আমরা ইউজ করি কার্ডিও প্রোটেকশনের ক্ষেত্রে, মায়োকার্ডিয়াল প্রোটেকশনের ক্ষেত্রে আমরা দেখব যখন ডিসকাস করব। তাছাড়া আসলে নিউমোথোরাক্স আর অ্যানাটমিক্যাল পজিশন। তারপর আমরা দেখেছি ক্লিনিক্যাল ফিচার্স যেটা অলমোস্ট সিমিলার টু ARDS ইন সিভিয়ার কেসেস, যেটাকে আমরা পাম্প লাংও বলে থাকি। তার সাথে কি কি থাকতে পারে না, ইনফ্লেমেটরি সিনড্রোম থাকতে পারে, ইনফেকশন থাকতে পারে, সেপসিস থাকতে পারে, পালমোনারি ইডেমা থাকতে পারে। আর তারপর মেইন হচ্ছে প্রিভেনশন এন্ড ম্যানেজমেন্ট। তো প্রিভেনশনের মধ্যে কি কি ছিল না, মিনিমাইজ পাম্প টাইম, ইউজ অফ কোটেড সার্কিট এন্ড মিনিমাইজ লেন, তার সাথে ইউজ অফ ইমোবিলাইজেশন, কাফ মাফ, ভেন্টিলেটর সেটিং, তার সাথে পোস্ট এক্সটিউবেশন কেয়ার, পেশেন্টের পোস্ট এক্সটিউবেশন কেয়ার খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট, বিশেষ করে মোবিলাইজেশন, তার সাথে স্পাইরোমেট্রি, চেস্ট ফিজিওথেরাপি। আর যদি সমস্ত রকম প্রিভেন্টিভ মেজার নেওয়ার পরও পেশেন্টকে ইনকিউবেট না করা যায় তখন লাং প্রোটেক্টিভ ভেন্টিলেশন আর ভেলোভেনাস এক্মো। তো ভেলোভেনাস এক্মোর জন্য যে সিভিয়ারিটি দরকার সেটা ইউজুয়ালি শুধুমাত্র ওপেন হার্ট সার্জারির জন্য সেরকম সিভিয়ার লাং ইনজুরি সাধারণত হয় না, যদি না পেশেন্টের কোনো সিভিয়ার প্রি-এক্সিস্টিং ডিজিজ থাকে। তো ভেলোভেনাস এক্মো কি সেটা আমরা পরে এক্সপ্লেনেশনে ডিসকাস করব। So this is all about today's session. So this is all and goodbye, take care and stay happy.